Welcome to the Revere Veterans Community Show. And today we really have a veteran of the community and a veteran of the military. His name is Charles Mackin. Welcome to the show, Mr. Mackin.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Thank you for having me here.
It's my honor. Can I call you Chuck during the show?
Yes, I appreciate that.
Okay, Chuck. You served both in World War II in the Navy and the Marines.
Yes.
Would you tell us something about your service? We'd love to hear about it.
Well, I went during the career. I was in my time ran out in the Navy, and I signed over, and then I got called back into the Korean War. I was down in Virginia, and we were training the recruit for amphibious landings.
Right.
Until my time was up, which I was a reserve, so my time was limited. And I got out in April of 1952.
Wow.
Just about time when my wife had a baby and I became a father.
Right, but I'd like to ask you about your World War II experience. Could you just tell us where you were and what you did and how it was?
I can tell you a good one.
Please do.
I was on watch one night and I had my rifle was laying on the side. And all of a sudden I peek out and I see somebody walking with a light. So now I couldn't have my rifle on the side, so I went out and all I had was my bayonet. And I took the bayonet and I said, I was scared. I said, "Who goes there?" And the guy says, "It's me, officer. Put that thing away."
Oh, it's one of your
Right.
compatriots.
So the officer goes back to the base. He says, "Never go out that place at night." He says, "That guy's going to bayonet you."
They didn't court-martial you or reprimand you for that, did they?
No.
Okay, you're lucky. Because I'm experienced with reprimands, you know. Okay.
Then I had another one.
Please do.
On World War II, the Japs were bombing us from the hills. And at the same time, the Japs were supposed to invade the island, which the Navy intercepted. That day, we moved to another position, so we had no foxholes. Now, these shells were coming overhead, and we dug a hole with our hands, our helmets. I never seen a hole so big.
Very good, Charlie.
So that was very good.
Excellent. Now, by the way, when I first met you, we talked about, you know, where we grew up, and we learned that, at least I learned, that we both came from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That's Brooklyn, New York, folks. Tell us a little about your thing in Brooklyn.
Well,
Growing up.
I lost my parents very young, and I was put in an orphanage. And that was in Brooklyn, New York, at St. John's.
Right.
Albany Avenue, St. John's
exactly
Place.
where that is.
St. John's
Place.
School for Boys, right.
Right.
And I stayed there until I was 17, and then I went to work out in the country on the farm. I got my room and board, and I worked, and I got $2 a week.
A week?
A week. So then I left the farm, and I went to work in a hospital, and I got $50 a month with my room and board. And then I enlisted in the Navy, which was at the time during the war.
Right. How old were you when you first enlisted?
17 years old.
Same age as yours truly.
Right.
And how did you like it, taking your basic training and et cetera?
I took my training at the Great Lakes, Illinois. And then I got my leave, and I got transferred to the West Coast and at Port Unimi. And I was in the Navy now, and they took me and threw me a Marine outfit,
Yep.
a helmet, the rifle, and now I was in the Marines.
Oh, so you were both Navy and the Marines.
Well, what happened was I was attached to a mobile radar unit, which we went with the Marines into battle. So that's why we had the Marine uniform and everything.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, so I served with them, and the first night we made an invasion on the island of Bougainville, and I spent all night in a hole full of water. I couldn't get out. If I got out, I would have got shot because the enemy was all around. So the night went by and everybody took care of everything, and we were all right until a few times the Japs tried to retake the island,
Right.
which they had no luck.
That was good. It's a
Yeah.
good thing, too, by the way. Charlie, I'd like to ask you a question about, you mentioned to me at one time that you went up to see or heard Jerry Williams.
Yes, I was working at Charles River Park, and the concierge says to me, called me and said, Chuck, there's someone down the garage having trouble. They can't get their car started. So I said, well, let me go down and check it out. So I go down there, and who is it but Jerry Williams? I said, of course I was just, because he was a big man.
Right, he was a big talk
Right.
show host.
So I said, what's the problem, Jerry? He said, I can't get my key in the ignition right. So I said, well, wait a while. So I went to my car and I got some WD-40. And I shot it in the ignition. He got it going. He thanked me very well, and that was good.
Right, Jerry Williams used to be a very good talk show, and I believe his office was a little place upstairs near Fenway Park.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to go up there and sit and listen to him?
No, I didn't, but he always had a woman with him that must advise him on all the subjects that he was supposed to put on the radio.
Right.
So that was it. But he was a nice guy, always very cocky.
Was he?
Very cocky.
Don't look at me when you say that, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very cocky.
Okay.
But he was a nice guy.
good. By the way, I want you to talk about someone. I know we didn't discuss that, but you did mention it at one time. You have a son who's a musician.
Yes.
I love music. Your son loves music. You love music, and all nice people love music. Tell us about your son.
Well, my son, when I started off him, I started him with an accordion.
Yep, that's how I started.
And then he got into St. Anthony's Band in Revere, and he got into with the clarinet.
Yep.
Then, when he got about 16, someone gave him a guitar with one string on it, and he took that guitar and he turned it into magic. And he plays, he teaches now, he's got a class where he teaches, and he, you know what? He worked on a lot of jobs, but his mind was always, if you notice, shadow, his mind was always on the music.
Right.
And he wasn't happy until he got to what his dream was.
And that was the
and he's a
music.
very happy man today.
Yep, and you also mentioned to me that he went overseas. Tell us about that.
My grandson is in a group that travel around the world.
Yep.
They go to,
Do you know the name of the group? Okay, that's all right.
yes, I can't think of it.
No problem. They'll come to you.
The transfers.
There you go.
The transfers.
Right.
That's it.
Tell us about the transfers. How it got started, and how many people are in
Well,
the
they started off with just fooling around,
Right.
like in high school.
Exactly. Yep.
And then he, after he got out with a few other guys, and then someone seen him play and chose him to get into their group.
Right.
And he got in there, and they travel all around the world. They go to Germany, Italy,
Germany, you said?
France,
Yeah, I hope.
everywhere.
Beautiful.
So, and they're good boys.
Right. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
By the way, Chuck, I hope you. Can I just look at that for 1 minute? Thank you. By the way, for you people that
I'd
don't
have
know,
to say it myself because in
you're
case
going to
there's
read it. Can
yeah,
you see?
oh.
Can you see it pretty good?
Yes. Sure.
Yeah. But you people that don't know, Mr. Mackin writes some of the most beautiful poems at the Senior Center.
Yeah.
And he brought one down, and he's going to read it to you, folks, so you're going to love it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Charlie.
The name of this poem is Slowly Taken Away.
Take your time.
The world I thought was my oyster. I thought I had it all. I had youth. I was restless. I was ready to control the world. I paid no attention to time as I watched it come and go. Time I thought was forever that I could put on hold. And then I looked in the mirror and I seen a tired, aging face. My head of black curly hair was now thin and gray. And how I used to run and walk, I'm now helped with a cane. My body now downgraded, once had muscle and shape. Everything I had was slowly taken away. As if I awoke from being in a coma, I see I have aged. Where did my youth go? When did it escape? I'm now alone in the world as my life slowly slips away. Time that was my friend is now my enemy. It won't extend or wait. The world that was my oyster, what the world gave me, it also took away.
Excellent, Charlie.
Thank you.
I mean, Chucky, thank you.
Thank you.
That. By the way, we have a few things here I'd like to talk to you about. We were mentioning something that you mentioned about the cruiser day dock. Does that ring a bell? About the dock, something you had to do with the dock? Ship, cruiser, dry dock.
Oh, when I got aboard a ship, put in commission. It was a seagoing vessel. And at that time, when ships overseas got in trouble, they would have, or in battle, they would have to go back to Honolulu or Pearl Harbor to be repaired.
Right.
So what the Navy did was they made floating dry docks that they anchored off these islands. So when any of these ships were hurt, they go in dry dock and they repaired them and they go right to battle. They wouldn't have to go back to Pearl Harbor. So we got a cruiser dry dock and we towed it all the way to Lady Gulf from California.
Yeah, Leyte Gulf?
It took us 65 days.
Wow.
And then when we anchored it, it turned around and it hit us and it put us in dry dock for 3 months. Yeah. So we got that got all repaired, and then we put over 100,000 miles on that ship, going from island to island, ships that were in distress or ships that got lost. In fact, I'll give you we had a captain on our ship was being transferred. The war was over and he was being discharged. So he got on one of these cruise ships. All of a sudden we get a call. The ship we was on lost the propeller and we had to go back and tow him all the way back in. So.
Oh, you're lucky you didn't have guys go out and swim and push him.
No, but we were a big vessel, powerful. Right. We had all the equipment there was.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. So we went from island to island, Samoa, New Guinea, Haiti, everywhere, getting ships out of trouble. In fact, one time we were headed up to Okinawa, and we see a boat out in the ocean, an outrigger. And it was a family, a mother and father with 3 children. How they were all the way out here, how they got out there. So now we weren't allowed to pick them up. So what we did was, we had barges on the back, so they got on the barge and were safe. And every day we would get a box and put food in it and let the line up, go all the way over. They would take it out and they would eat it.
That was
and
good.
Then when we got to Okinawa, we let them off, and I guess they took care of it.
That was a Japanese family?
No, it was just from the Philippines or somewhere.
Family? Very, very good.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
But you couldn't take them on the ship.
For
so
what
we
reason?
would,
I mean,
account of the war and account of maybe diseases or whatever.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Anyway, so what we do, we'd leave a line. We had about 2,000 feet of cable out that we were towing.
Oh, I see, the barge.
Right.
And they were on it.
So we let out lime with a box and let it just float over. Got near enough, they took it out.
They ate it? Good. That's a good humane story. That is
Yeah,
really
it was
a good
very.
human interest
So
story.
this is the way we operate. We were always alone, and we went to these islands where never were white people before. And then, when the war was over, we took a lot of ships and stuff that was left over there, and we put demolition squads on, and we towed them out, and they sunk everything right in.
Into the ocean?
Yes.
Fantastic. That's a good story.
Yeah.
By the way, I want you to tell me a little good story. You and I went on a trip to Washington.
Yes.
A little back. How did you enjoy the trip? Tell us about it.
Very good. I was amazed and happy to think that I was one chosen for this. And I feel very lucky. I had a beautiful trip. I was with other veterans like myself.
I was with you too,
And
remember?
we enjoyed everything. We seen a lot of the politicians over there. And in fact, I think I'm going to run for office.
No, I don't think you should. You're an honest man. I'm only joking, folks. By the way, did you recognize any names when you went along the wall there, the World War II Memorial?
Yes, I had a friend that enlisted in the Navy with me. He got on a destroyer, and I missed that draft where I got another ship. And he wrote to me, and well, then all of a sudden I didn't hear from him no more. And at Okinawa, his ship got hit with a Jap plane, and he was...
You mean one of those kamikaze pilots?
Yes.
Yep. That was...
And you know, I got an incident.
Go ahead.
I went with his sister before I got into the Navy. Her name, when I was married, my wife's name was Romano, and Romano, and she lived. Romano, her name was Romano, and she lived on Saratoga Street.
In Revere?
Yeah, and the minute I thought back, this girl I went with, her name was Mary, and she lived on Romano Street also. So it was a coincidence.
Very good one, too, if I
Yeah.
may say.
And then he got killed, and so I lost track of the family and everything.
Right. By the way, I got to mention, where you and I went to Washington, I like that Charlie Mackin and yours truly went to Washington. We also had a couple of other people that I would like to give credit to. We had Sal Santoro, who's 99 years old, God bless him, a 99-year-old man. Then we had a woman, Eileen Murillo, who's going around in Revere. I guess she has done trying to make a memorial for the woman of Revere. God bless her. I don't know how she does it, but she does it. God bless you, Eileen, if you're out there listening. Thank you. Thank you. And then we had Nick Jacoby, who was an escort. Now, Nick is a Korean veteran, but he was, someone sponsored him. So he went with us, even though he was not a World War II, but he is a Korean vet, and he'll probably be going again as long as a Korean vet. Now, Charlie, I got to ask you this. You work at the senior center.
Yes.
You help me when I come in the morning. You help the people when they come in. If they spill something, you clean it up. If they drop something, you pick it up. You carry it. Tell us, how do you like working, and when did you first start there? By the way, before we go, can I ask you your age?
Yes, I'm 87.
God bless you. God bless you. Thank you. And first, let me thank you for your service.
Thank you.
From one World War II to another World War II.
Yeah.
So now tell us about your seniors.
Well, my son-in-law works at City Hall, and there was an opening at the center,
Right?
and he recommended would I like to do it. And so I went over there, and I waited outside. Then I went into the office, and I said to Mo, I changed my mind. I don't want the job. So I left. So my son-in-law called me up. He said, what's the problem? He said, you know, it's a good place to work. You don't have to go running around doing odd
Right.
jobs. So I says, all right. So I come back, and I find it, these people have got somewhere to go. They're not alone.
Right.
And it's a pleasure working for them. and we're all in the same boat.
That's right.
There is nobody cutting corners when you get older. And someday I'll be sitting in there eating the meals like they will, and depending on the people to help me if I need a walker or whatever.
Right. And I got to tell you, when I first met you, I do some music there for the seniors. The first thing you said to me, I love country music, and I happen to have some country CDs, and I put it on for you. Then I put on the polkas. You like the polkas. You like the big band, right? Now, I got to ask you, who are some of your favorite stars in the big band era and some of your vocalists?
Well, the vocalists, I like Helen Forrest.
Oh, yeah, she sang with the Harry James Orchestra.
Right, exactly.
Keep going.
Yeah, and I love all the country music, and I love.
Who's your favorite country singer, if I can ask you that?
No,
Would it be Eddie Arnold?
no.
Anne Murray? Patsy Cline? Is it
Kathy Klein.
Patsy Cline, yeah. You know, when I play her songs, people at the senior center usually like to hear Crazy, Walking After Midnight, Back in Baby's Arms. She made some terrific hits, and it's a shame that she died at a young age of 27, I believe, in an airplane accident. Who are your big bands? Who do you like in the big band era?
Well, I like, Glenn Miller.
Everybody loves Glenn
I
Miller
like-
because we grew up with him.
Yeah, Glenn Miller.
Yep.
I used to like Kay Kaiser.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I like Tech Brennigy, the vocalist.
Oh, yeah, and he had his own band after
He had
Glenn
his
Miller got
own
killed.
band. And he used to be on TV. We used to watch him on TV.
Right.
And there were so many of them.
Benny Goodman,
Benny Goodman.
right? Artie Shaw's. Yeah. Yep, some of the great big bands of the common era. There's a few big bands even today that played the music that you and I were just talking about. One of them is out in California. His name is Brian Setzer. He used to be a rock and roll band, but he finally went into the big band era on there. Now, Charlie, we have about 4 or 5 minutes left. And to have you come down here and spend time with the TV studio and yours truly is good. So take a few minutes, say whatever you want, and we'll wrap it up in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, don't leave Lawrence Welch out.
Oh, definitely. I'm
Don't
glad
leave
you
him out.
reminded me because he used to be on every Saturday night, and believe it or not, he's still on some of the television stations over here. So take a few minutes, Charlie, and say what you like to say.
Well, what I say is what you bring to that center.
Who, me?
Yes. You bring music. You help a lot of these elderly people out.
They helped me too, believe you me.
And
It's people like you, Charlie, that make this show possible. It's people like you that make the senior center possible.
well, you know what? They like to come to a clean place.
Oh,
So you clean it for them.
right.
They like to come for good food, and they get good food. They get plenty of coffee, and they
Right.
meet their friends, and they pass the time,
Socialize.
which they never would have got a chance to do before.
That's fantastic, Charlie. So let me ask you this. I'm not going to say after you retire because you are retired.
I'm retired
You are retired?
Yeah, retired.
How many years have you been retired?
since 1988.
1988? That's 25 years ago, Charlie.
That's right.
And you're 88? So you retired 25, 63, just a little over 60.
That's
Yeah, 63.
exactly.
Yep. I retired when I was 62 because I used to travel all over and I just had enough of it. You know, people say it's nice, you're going here, you're going there. At the beginning, it was heaven. But after a while, you get sick of it in there. By the way, what did you do when you were, before you retired? What was your work?
We build, where I work, I work for Techwell Corporation, and we were up in New Hampshire.
Right.
And we used to build and service the oil trucks. And I did a lot of electrical work, the airlines on them, clean them up. We used to put out about 300 trucks a year.
Wow.
So we were there all the time. It was 7 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. And then what happened was the kids starting to want more money. And I was telling them how lucky they were. These kids were about 17, 18 years old. They were making about $16, $17 an hour, and they still weren't happy. And I used to tell them, you guys are lucky. Well, anyway, the place went on strike. When I went back to work to look at the kids, I said, no union, no vacation, no nothing. And I went to them.
Charlie, let me say this. It's an honor. I mean, a real honor to have you come on Revere TV at the Revere Veterans Community, because you're both of them. You fit both categories. God bless you, and thank you for coming on.
And thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. God bless the people of Revere.
And God bless America.
And God bless our troops.
Yeah.
Until the next time we meet, I want to thank Charlie. I hope we get more people like him on this show, because he was excellent. And folks, thank you for listening out there.